Hey, it's Mr. Redstone, and in this video we're going to be looking at some equations in standard form to identify the slope and the y-intercept. And the way we're going to do that is to solve for y, to put this into slope-intercept form. We call it slope-intercept form because it tells us the slope, the coefficient in front of x, and the y-intercept, which is the constant. X and y will represent some other point on the line. Now, when students start out doing these, they get a little hung up on the fact that there are two variables. They're not always the best at solving literal equations. So what I'm going to do here is liken this problem, 3x plus 2y equals 6, into a simpler two-step equation that you might have seen in 6th or 7th grade. Instead of 3x plus 2y, I'm going to say 3 plus 2y equals 6. And if I wanted to solve for y in that case, I would just subtract 3 from each side of the equation. Well, on the question that we were given, it's really no different. We want to get rid of that add 3x. So the inverse operation would be to subtract 3x. Now in our simpler case, we could end up with 2y is equal to 3, because we can do 6 subtract 3. But on the left-hand side, 6 and negative 3x, those are unlike terms. So I'm just going to leave it as a negative 3x plus a 6. Now, in our easier problem, if I wanted to isolate y, I would have divided by 2. Y is equal to 3/2. In our more difficult problem, we're going to do the exact same thing. We're going to isolate y by dividing by 2. And if I divide the left by 2, I have to divide everything on the right by 2. So I could rewrite the right-hand side as 3x over negative 3x over 2 plus 3. 6 divided by 2 is 3. Having done that, we've now identified the slope. It's negative 3/2. That means every time x goes up by 2, y goes down by 3, and a y-intercept of 3. I'm going to do a few more examples now, but I'm not going to go into the excruciating detail that I did on this first problem. So let's look at 10x minus 3y is 4. I want to isolate that minus 3y. So to do that, I'm going to subtract 10x from each side of the equation. Negative 3y will equal negative 10x plus 4. And the way to undo the operation of multiplication by negative 3 is to divide everything on the right by negative 3. So y will equal a negative divided by a negative is a positive, so we'll have 10/3 of x. 4 divided by negative 3 is minus 4/3. Your slope is 10 over 3, meaning every time x goes up by 3, y goes up by 10. Your y-intercept is negative 4/3. The last example in this video. Again, we want to subtract away the 5x to isolate the term with y in it. So we have negative y equals negative 5x plus a 1. Oh, sorry about that. Now, I don't care what negative y is. I could have rewritten that as negative 1y if you have trouble understanding why I can't just leave it as negative y. Remember, we want to solve for what y is, not the opposite of y. By placing that negative 1 in front of the y, you see that you've divided all the terms by a negative 1. That'll leave you with 5x subtract 1. So the slope is 5, or 5 over 1, and your y-intercept is negative 1. That's it for this video. Thanks for watching.